What if the dreams you escape into started wanting something back? And if we dream dives into the terror of fantasies that blur into reality, and the haunting idea that your mind is no longer your safe space. Greetings, ghouls, and welcome to a dive into horror television. Tonight we explore the bizarre story of An If We Dream from the hit show The Hitchhiker. We open to Todd, a high school teacher in a small town, teaching his students about photography. Todd is reviewing photos, and he especially likes Roseanne's ambiguous shot of her bedroom. When the school day ends, Roseanne asks her teacher for a ride home so she can show him more pictures. On the ride home, we learn that Todd dreams of leaving teaching behind and going back to photography full-time. He isn't sure whether he still has a talent for it, since he's been teaching for so long. Roseanne moved to Kansas from San Francisco, and she's still adjusting. They have a school fair tomorrow, and Roseanne's really looking forward to it. When Todd gets home, he finds a letter denying him a new job. He looks at Roseanne's photo portfolio. The next day at the school fair, Roseanne's camera catches Todd's eye. They get some food together, and he puts a French fry into her mouth. That's scandalous, no? He takes pictures of her eating cotton candy. Then they go for a walk in the cornfield. They find a barn and lay in the hay before kissing. He wants to be with her even though that's admittedly crazy. She doesn't see a problem with it, so they make love. It's her first time. That night, Roseanne is dancing on her patio at 2 a.m. She's having trouble sleeping since she's thinking about Todd. The next day at school, Roseanne tries to talk to Todd. He's meeting with another teacher, and he has a staff meeting in a few minutes. But Roseanne wants to wait for him. Todd tells Roseanne that he's never done anything like that with the student before. He wants to end things between them. They can't do it again. Roseanne loves him and wants him desperately. Todd is married and can't see any possible way that they could be together. That night, Roseanne stares at her picture of Todd as she falls asleep. In a dream, Todd gives her a ring and tells her that it's their secret sign and to keep it no matter what Todd says on the other side. He holds her close. When she wakes up, she's wearing Todd's ring. When he wakes up, his ring is missing. He goes looking for it around his bedroom, but there's nothing. The next day in class, Roseanne is wearing his ring on a necklace. Todd asks her how she got his ring, and she explains she got it in her dream. He wants her to give it back, and finds the whole thing absurd. He tells her to turn off her thoughts about him. She thinks part of him really loves her, and that part of him was the one who visited her in her dream. That night in another dream, Roseanne is riding a carousel. Todd asks her to forgive him for what he says on the other side. He only does it to keep their love secret and safe. She understands. They take a ride on the demented carousel of love, and then Todd wakes up to his wife calling for him. The next day at school, Todd tells Roseanne to stop dreaming about him. The dreams are making him sick. He pulls her close by the neck and tells her to get out. Todd calls Roseanne's old school from a payphone pretending to be a school psychologist to see if they can give him more details about her personal problems at school leading up to her leaving. They refuse. That night in a dream, Roseanne comes to get Todd from his bed. The door behind them closes and the room becomes unsettlingly windy. The door is locked, and Roseanne whispers that he's trapped inside the room with her in this dream forever. The dream becomes distorted, and Todd vanishes. When Roseanne goes to school the next day, Todd isn't in. He's trapped in her dreams now, and Roseanne looks kinda scared. At the center of the story is a taboo relationship that disintegrates every boundary meant to protect young people. Todd convinces himself he's just appreciating Roseanne's photography, but when he gives in to desire, he crosses a moral and professional line. The episode shows how forbidden intimacy creates a world where rules stop applying. Alone in that barn, they build a temporary universe free of consequences. But that universe doesn't stay small. Roseanne's dreams, Todd's guilt, and the supernatural twist all grow out of this original trespass. Roseanne loves Todd with the intensity only a lonely, unstable teenager can muster. There's no nuance in her emotion, only total devotion or total despair. Todd becomes her entire world, and in her fantasies, he becomes the perfect man she believes he is. The episode critiques how easily power dynamics can be inverted. Todd, an adult, initially exploits her innocence, but Roseanne's craving for connection becomes so powerful that it eclipses Todd's authority completely. Her obsession is the kind that erases boundaries, individuality, and even reality itself. Todd's repression, his guilt, fear, ambivalence manifests inside Roseanne's dreams. Todd tries to kill the affair by forcefully rejecting Roseanne, but the dreams keep resurrecting the emotional truth he refuses to face. The more he denies his desire, the stronger dream Todd becomes. Eventually, that dream self becomes real enough to consume him. Todd tries to cut ties, pretend nothing happened, and return to normal life, but the dream world, created by their moment of transgression, refuses to let him go. His final entrapment inside Roseanne's dream is symbolic. He is trapped in the version of himself he created by crossing the line. He's trapped in the consequences he hoped to outrun. He's trapped in the logic of desire he unleashed. The story ends where his moral failure leads, into a psychic purgatory where he can no longer distinguish who he is from what he did. Todd and Roseanne's relationship is built on structural inequality. He's an adult, a teacher, and a married man. She is a minor, newly relocated, emotionally unsteady, and dependent on adult authority figures. Power imbalance distorts the younger person's ability to give genuine consent. Even when a student expresses desire, sociologists emphasize that desire itself may be shaped by the authority figure's validation, their ability to grant or withhold academic approval, and the student's need for belonging, identity, or mentorship. Transference traditionally describes when a person unconsciously redirects feelings from one important relationship, usually early caregivers, onto another person in the present. In this episode, Roseanne's fixation on Todd is textbook transference, accelerated by isolation, vulnerability, and unmet emotional needs. But the episode takes the concept further. Transference becomes a supernatural force, where the intensity of Roseanne's projection literally reshapes Todd's reality. Roseanne moves from San Francisco to a small Kansas town, an abrupt cultural, social, and psychological rupture. She's isolated. She's yearning for stability and closeness. She has no established support network. In that void, Todd becomes the nearest emotional anchor, a familiar adult who listens, validates her art, and gives her attention. Her crush is not about Todd the man, but about Todd the symbol, fantasy of being seen, chosen, and rescued from loneliness. She transfers onto Todd the role of protector, ideal lover, parental figure, and savior from a life she didn't choose. This transforms their interactions from mentorship to psychological dependency. The episode exposes, sometimes subtly, sometimes bluntly, how gender shapes the way society assigns guilt, innocence, and credibility in cases involving inappropriate relationships between adults and minors. Todd is an adult, a married high school teacher, and Roseanne is a teenager. On paper, it should be clear who holds the power, yet the narrative shows how easily Todd frames himself as the distressed victim of a young girl's obsession, while conveniently erasing the fact that he initiated, encouraged, and consummated a sexual relationship with someone he was responsible for protecting. Todd weaponizes gendered expectations of who counts as dangerous and who counts as unstable. Instead of acknowledging his agency as a grown man who crossed a line he knew was moral, legal, and professional, he recast himself as the hunted party, threatened by Roseanne's dreams, her longing, her intensity. In doing so, he taps into a long cultural history in which men's predatory behavior is reframed through the trope of the hysterical girl, the temptress, or the crazy teen crush. It's the same script that lets men say, "She was obsessed with me," instead of "I abused my position." Meanwhile, Roseanne's emotional vulnerability, trauma, loneliness, longing for attachment is automatically coded as pathological. Her experiences are dismissed before anyone even tries to understand them. Even her psychic fantasies and dreams are treated as the threat, not the underlying reason she's clinging so tightly to Todd. The default assumption is a girl's desire is irrational, dangerous, unhinged, and a man's desire is a momentary lapse or a misunderstanding. The show critiques this dynamic by showing the split between public narrative and private culpability. Publicly, Todd fears being discovered, exposed, or judged. Privately, he knows he created the conditions for Roseanne's attachment. Socially, he benefits from the presumption of innocence men are often afforded in teacher-student scandals. Roseanne, by contrast, is given no such presumption. She becomes the problem, the threat, the crazy girl, even though she is the one harmed by an adult who should have provided boundaries, guidance, and safety. The horror of this story is partly supernatural, but mostly cultural. Todd is allowed to narrate himself as the victim of the very trauma he inflicted, and the ending seals the critique. Todd disappears into Roseanne's dream world, not because she is a femme fatale seductress, but because he cannot escape the consequences of his own choices. The dream that consumes him is really a metaphor for the truth he refuses to embrace. Men like Todd often rewrite the story of their wrongdoing, but the psyche keeps score. This episode was directed by the talented Mai Zetterling, who is a bit before my time, but she's known for her acting in roles in the 1990 film The Witches and for playing Frida in the 1947 film Frida. She directed 3 episodes of The Hitchhiker and 2 episodes of Chillers. She stands out as one of the better directors who worked on the show. The writers of this one are Leora Barish, who wrote Basic Instinct 2 and 2 episodes of The Hitchhiker, and series regular and creator Richard Rothstein. Stephen Collins played the role of Todd, and he is known for his returning role in Seventh Heaven and his role in 1979 Star Trek movie. Roberta Weiss played Roseanne, and she's a bit of a horror icon. She appeared in Cronenberg's The Dead Zone and in an episode of Tales from the Dark Side. Overall, I'll rate this one an 8 out of 10 for The Hitchhiker. It was pretty good, but it doesn't stand out. What episode of The Hitchhiker do you want to see me cover next? Let me know down in the comments, and until next time, remember to be well and stay spooky.